Happy VA Wednesday. Okay, so welcome back. So last week, you guys saw 3 reasons I love VA, and why I was filming it, I went, oh no, there's so many more that I have to cover. So here we are again. 3 more reasons that I love VA loans and why you should love them too. The first video should have said that. So for anyone who's new to the channel, I'm Jennifer Beeston. My team's one of the top VA teams in the country. We waive our lender fee on VA loans. We do not mess around. We have a calendar that's going to be in the links. If you guys have any VA mortgage questions, even if you're thinking of buying in 2 years, get on the calendar. Alyssa and Sandy will answer any of your questions. I have my whole team set up to help you guys as much as possible with any questions or goals of homeownership. There, that was my pitch. Okay. 3 more things I love about VA. If you haven't seen the first video, go check it out. Number 1, VA is the only loan where you can ask the seller to pay off some of your debt. That's right. Okay, so what am I talking about? Let's say you're buying a $400,000 house and the seller really needs to sell that house. You can ask the seller to pay 4% towards your debt. So $400,000 house, that's $16,000 you could ask for to pay off like a car, credit cards. It doesn't have to be the whole amount. Like we've had some people pay off like half a car, but yeah, you can have the seller pay off your debt, like that amount. Okay. Now, if you have $100,000 in debt, no, but it's 4% of the purchase price. You can ask the seller to pay off of your debt. You don't have to like line item it with them and be like, hey, I want you to pay off Macy's and Kohl's. No. You just ask for this lump of money. And then at closing, we have it all line itemed out. And then when it settles out, that gets paid off. Pretty cool, right? Now, this is great for 2 reasons. Now, someone's going to ask me, they're going to go, well, wait a second, can I not get closing costs then? No, guys, here's the magic. You can ask for the seller to pay all your closing costs and 4% to pay down your debt. Yeah. So one of my favorites, and this was last year, and look, there's been a lot of like credit cards being paid off and stuff like that. But one of my favorites, of course, was the seller paid all the closing costs and they paid off the buyer's car. That was magic. It's pretty hard the buyer basically was buying a house with 0 down, closing costs paid for, and their car paid off. It's the only loan you guys can do that with. So that's pretty cool. And so whenever we have extra seller credit left over, because sometimes people don't negotiate for the debt, but maybe they have, $2,000 left over in seller credit. Usually I'm going to be saying, hey, look, why don't we put that towards paying down debt instead of buying down the rate? Because the buy downs on the rate aren't huge. Odds are rates are going to drop within the next few years because we are at a 20-year high right now. So buying down the rate, you may just be lighting money on fire, whereas paying off some of that debt, like that's an instant return of money to your wallet. Okay. So look, if you're a veteran and right now you're working with a lender that's trying to sell you a bunch of discount points because you have a big seller credit, no, guys, the debt thing's a really good idea if you have debt. Okay. It can go towards student loans, car payments, credit cards. Like it is magical. If you guys are in a lease and you have to buy out of the lease, it can go towards that too. So really, really cool. Love that. Could do a whole video on that alone. If you guys have questions, reach out. Yes. Okay. Number 2, no loan limit. Like no loan limit with 0% down. If you have full eligibility with VA, you can do a $2 million loan with 0% down. Now, of course, we all know this. You have to qualify to make the payments as you do with any other loan. But yeah, no loan limit. There's no loan like that, guys. Every other loan has some sort of limit, like, conventional. I'm filming this in 2023. So conventional right now, if you go over 726-200, then it's considered jumbo in lots of parts of the country. And then there's new guidelines and VA, none of that nonsense. None of it. So that's magical. That's a short one, but it's very, very exciting. Sometimes people go, well, if someone's buying a $2 million house, don't they want to put down a lot? Not necessarily, guys. If their money's in the stock market or their money's tied up in retirement, no, they probably don't want to touch that money to liquidate it towards the house. So it's a great option to have. Number 3, I think VA appraisals are the best appraisals. And this is controversial. So story time, 2020, 2021, rates were so low, right? 2-3%. As a lender, my business went from really solid to I was sending out, guys, there was so much business in those 2 years. We would send out books. I would send out books that I had, if you guys are clients from those years, chime in, but I would send out books that I enjoyed reading, just saying, hey, thank you so much for your patience, because so many loans came in, at the same time. This happened to every company, but I felt terrible. So I was sending out books. I was sending out Starbucks gift cards, just apologizing for the delay, trying to keep people happy, entertained, knowing that I at least cared. Okay, so you have all this volume coming into lenders. Lenders are having a hard time keeping up. We all had to staff up. Okay, how does this tie in with appraisals? Appraisers had the same volume. So they went from a good business to, oh my God, everybody in America wants an appraisal. And so what I saw with conventional appraisals is the appraisers went, you want an appraisal? Great, give me your wallet. It was like a stand-up. It was like a freaking bank heist. Every single time we ordered an appraisal, I would be like, okay, the appraisal should be $600. They'd be like, if you want it back in 27 days, 27 days, that'll be $1,300. It was a supply and a demand issue, and the conventional appraisers really bent us over a barrel. I'm sorry, it's crude, it's crass, but it's true. And I know there's going to be some appraisers that are mad at me for saying this. It's true. And look, in fairness to them, they had so much business. Why wouldn't they? Right? Why wouldn't they? VA, that didn't happen. No, VA. You can't hold a gun to VA's head. No, you can't. And that's why, the VA appraisals were still a reasonable price. The VA appraisals were coming back quicker than conventional. I had more faith that I would actually get the VA appraisal back, because what we saw with conventional, so at this time, my business was 50-50. Now I'm definitely heavier on VA, but what was 50-50? The conventional deals are the ones that made me want to drown myself in my pool. Like, they were horrible, because you'd have an appraiser say, oh, I'll get it back to you by the 16th. 16th comes. Oh yeah, I'll get it to you tomorrow. This would happen for 10 days, and then they just cancel the order. What? Yeah. And then you have to start from scratch. It was horrible. No games like that with VA. No. Because here's the thing, VA has rules. Conventional appraisal land, it's the Appraiser Independence Act. The bank has no power. VA is the one that controls the appraiser. So they have rules, and the appraisers follow them. And I think that's great. And that's what we see consistently. I can always count on a VA appraiser coming back and doing what they're saying they're going to do. Over here, it's better now. It's better now because they don't have as much business. But if it gets busy again, always going to be better. Always. The other thing is that with a VA appraisal, you get a heads up. If the value is going to come in low, you get what's known as a Tidewater. So guys, search my channel for Tidewater. I've done like 3 videos on it. They're very in detail, very useful. So they give you a heads up, and the agents get to fight for the value. Conventional, the appraisal just comes back in low. Then you've got to go to the agents and be like, hey, like it came in low. And they're like, Fighting a conventional appraisal, way harder than VA. You get this heads up. They get their first round. Now, if the appraisal still comes in low, I can go to VA. If they're saying like, hey, this appraiser's biased, this is bullshit, we can take their argument to VA, and VA will analyze it independently, because VA really, truly, guys, they have the veteran's best interest at heart. Okay, so they'll look at it all and they'll see if it makes sense. Now, look, sometimes realtors are fighting for values that are just stupid. Like, for instance, if your house is not in a country club and they're using comparable sales in a country club, like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. But sometimes there might be an issue. And the beautiful thing about VA is it's easy to fight. Conventional, flip a coin. Best of luck, because there's no one above that appraiser's head. To do something with a conventional appraisal, we either have to get the appraiser to switch the appraisal, which we can only do by providing comps. We can provide the best comps in the world, but if the appraiser's a stick in the mud and says, nope, I don't want to, even if they're wrong, we can't do anything. Then we have to go through the process of proving that their report is inadequate. Okay, which is a whole thing. So we have a guaranteed rate. We have a department that analyzes this to see if it qualifies under that, because you can't just order a second appraisal. So then if they see that there's actual deficiencies in the appraisal, at that point, we can order a second appraisal. With VA, you've got these 2 safeguards there. And from what I've seen, like, I don't feel like I've ever gotten, there's only one appraisal that I would disagree with. Seriously, there's one. And look, I close a lot of VA loans, guys, like hundreds a year. And there's one that sticks in my mind over the last 4 years that I don't agree with the value. Yeah, and that appraiser I just don't agree with that. But everything else has been really, really realistic. If I go to conventional and I go to the appraisals that I haven't agreed with over the last few years, it's a lot more than one. So some people say VA appraisers are tougher. They're not. VA appraisers are wonderful. They're magical. They're fantastic. Now, of course, could you get a rotten apple? Yeah, sure. But you have a less chance of getting a rotten apple over here because over here there's consequences. Over here, not so much. So anyways, those are 3 more things that I love about VA loans. I hope it was helpful. I hope that you guys understand your VA loan benefit is amazing. Make sure that you're actually exploring it. Make sure that you're working with a lender that really understands the power of it and how it works. Because when you have all those things combined, it's magic. So as always, I'm licensed in 48 states. Please reach out if you have questions. I'd love to help you with your VA loan and walk you through the process.